Let me start off by saying I really like this new packaging. Instead of opened, it's now pushed out, which is much better. Let's start off with the Santa Cruz. Very comfortable clear case with a grippy texture to the sides. They made this triangle pattern which gets more apparent towards the actual place you hold the case and sort of fades out at the end. Therefore, it's not placed anywhere else but the lower sides. Very good. On the inside of the case, they have these soft rubber-ish feeling inserts which probably avoid damage when dropping this case. But it adds to the overall aesthetic as well, since these sides now look black too. The transparent parts of the sides are not completely clear, but they are slight grayish, which only adds towards that theme. And is probably very good for avoiding yellowing of the case too. Very strong MagSafe at like a 7.5 out of 10, and you cannot feel the MagSafe ring at all on the outside, which I personally love. You can feel the set of magnets from the inside though, but no sharp or uneven sides to it. The fit of this case is also very good, and I noticed right away that the shape of this case is sort of wider at the front and narrows down towards the back plate, which makes for a very natural way of holding the case. Now, most have straight edges, but here you can very clearly see it's sort of angled. Clicky buttons, which get a solid 7 out of 10 on the clickiness scale of Unfiltered. And they also feature a top pill cutout for the camera control, which is very big and useful. But like all pill cutouts, pressing the button is not made easier. It features a soft connection piece though, and normally that means bad news for the closest corner, but here the fit stays exactly the same. The Santa Cruz is 50 grams or 1.76 ounces. Great case. Now then there's also the Crystal Palace, which I thought would have been very different, but it seems to be the exact same case. Just totally clear now instead of a grayish transparent version. It's also 2mm thicker on the backplate, which is something you can really notice from the side. The sides are also harder than on the Santa Cruz, and the camera bump is a little less present, since it makes use of a thicker backplate now for that protection. It features a kickstand here though, which is of good quality, and on the inside has a felt inner, so not to scratch anything. Now, delving further into the details of this case, you can see that the triangle-ish shapes on the side are now sort of another layer on top, it seems. As if it's pasted on or added later, not sure. But it doesn't look as nice because on the Santa Cruz it's in the mold and not done after the fact. You can see the edges of that work very clearly on the Crystal Palace. Doesn't make it any less grippy though, but it is something you will notice. Same strong magnets, and it's 67 grams or 2.36 ounces. Then there's even a light version of the Crystal Palace, which comes in at 43 grams or 1.52 ounces, and is indeed lighter. Has a lot of feelable plastic edges which make this case feel cheap and uncomfortable. Has no triangle texture on the sides, features a full cutout for the camera button instead of the pill cutout, with once again feelable plastic unrefined edges there, which just doesn't make it nice to use. And features a very high front screen edge, and it's narrow too, made of hard plastic, which isn't the most comfortable either. Does feature very strong MagSafe magnets though, at the same level as the previous two at like a 7.5 out of 10. Moving to the next case, the Denali Snap. I think this is the 5th year I've checked out their cases, and I must say the design on the back is simplified this year round, which is a bummer. They always had those cool designs on the backplate, but I'm seeing a pattern here because I said the same thing about the UAG Civilian, which has that simplified design too. It probably has to do with the MagSafe magnets, since when you have a design on the backplate, it creates distance in between the magnets, making it harder to offer good MagSafe strength. And that is becoming more important. And I was ready to forgive them. Sadly though, they are only slightly better. So it looks like they just need to use better magnets. I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. Now, some things I noticed on the inside of this case is the MagSafe ring is very refined now. They made an edge to the ring so that it doesn't feel sharp anymore. A very good solution, and I love to see that. They also feature a felt liner on the back side of the kickstand so that nothing can or will scratch the back of your iPhone now. Great job! They also went for a grippier material on the whole case, which works out and reminds me a lot of the core armor from Spigen. The good part, that is. But where they have the sharp edges and that case is not comfortable at all, here it's actually really nice. No sharp edges, everything smooth, nice texture, great work. I do feel that the camera bump is a step backwards though. They had an awesome, unique design for their whole lineup last year and I'm confused as to why they would remove that now. The case features clicky buttons, but I'd say like a 6 out of 10 here. A pill top cutout for the camera control button, which still works fine, but pressing is still more difficult. The sides feature a striped design here too, but it's mostly the material that does all the work. But it looks cool though. This case is 60 grams or 2.12 ounces. So then that brings me to the Soho Snap, an interesting name, with an even more interesting case. Pretty strong feeling case, but soft silicone sides. Features a black backplate with grey sides, and I must say it looks awful. This case also has the same sharp edges as on the Spigen core armor, and I hated that too. Clicky buttons though at like a 6 out of 10. And decent magnets at like a 6.5 out of 10. Features a pill camera cutout again with a soft connection piece, but the nearest corner isn't any weaker here. Good front protection though and a strong camera bump, which features the same grey as on the side, but yeah, I just think it's an awful looking case. And because it's not comfortable either, why would you even consider this one? I have a feeling we will not see this case again for the 17 series. And if they do decide to bring it back, it will look very different. But if you are considering this case and you want to know the weight, it's 53 grams or 1.87 ounces. Godspeed. Now we're also going to Milan with this one. I've chosen this unique blue iridescent colorway, not because it matches well with the Desert Titanium iPhone, but just because it looks amazing on its own. I would totally rock this case on a white or black iPhone. This one features a very soft plastic-like backplate with a seamless transition towards the sides, no sharp edges here whatsoever, good MagSafe but at a 6.5 out of 10, so not very good, but very clicky buttons, but not pressed easily, which is then a bitter aftertaste. Features the same texture on the sides as far as the design goes, but the texture is much more present. You can very clearly see that from the sides. It's a little too much for me personally, but it is very grippy. So I think it's a subjective topic. They did not put it near the camera control cutout though, which is the usual pill cutout again, and even though once again a soft silicone connection piece, it does not impact the nearest corner here, which is very good. Nice camera bump here too, which is one with the case, and the whole case has a pearl-like glossy finish. It looks very cool. The front protection is also very good and swells up very slightly towards the top and bottom. The case is 47 grams or 1.66 ounces, which isn't bad either. And then lastly, the Luxe Snap. It's a very flexible case, but still feels like a good protective case overall. The inside magnet ring isn't sharp and is very nicely fitted in there as well. The fit is perfect, really good and easily detached, but survived all of my slap tests, so you already know that it's pretty good. Pretty clicky buttons at like a 6.5 out of 10. And stronger MagSafe magnets than on the Denali, which is funny to me because this one has more and deeper grooves on the backplate. Sadly though, the sides have very noticeable, unrefined edges and they're pretty bad. So bad that you can actually see them very easily now too. Especially noticeable with the camera control cutout, where they just didn't even bother. Really grippy case though, but the final straw for me was the fact that on the bottom it has that unrefined edge too, which gets annoying really quick if you hold it for a longer period. I just cannot for the life of me imagine someone picking this case up and thinking, wow, we really upped our game this year. Let's put it out. Anyway, you'll find these soon enough in my tier list, which I will upload very, very soon.